It's porn, people. It's good, okay? Read it.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining in today. Appreciate you dropping in. We have a very exciting topic to cover today, and that is none other than Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I'm willing to bet that you've heard about this one. This one completely blew up Bookstagram, Book Talk, BookTube. This book is everywhere, and it hasn't even been out a year yet. Can you believe that? April of last year. So we're going to be talking about Fourth Wing. If you are curious about Fourth Wing, you're in the right place. We have a lot of topics to cover. However, we will be cautious of spoilers. The first part of this video, we're going to bring it to you in 2 parts. Part 1 is going to be completely spoiler-free. So don't you worry. We are not going to ruin the book for you if you haven't had an opportunity to read it yet, which you should read it. Yes, you should definitely read it. Part 2 will give you ample warning before we transition to that section of the video. That's where we're going to go into more in-depth conversations about actual events in this book. So stick around, make sure that you subscribe, leave us a comment down below. Have you read this? Do you think it's worth the hype? Let us know your thoughts. Now, before we get into it, brief introductions. It's me, the Biblio Nerd. I bring to you bookish content from all different types of genres. I'm here with author JJ Kimmorist. She is the author of Trials for the Haunted, which, holy moly, if you have not read this, please do. The link to this book is going to be in the comment section below.
Hey, I'm JJ Kimmorist. I have my debut dark fantasy novel, Trials for the Haunted, out. And yeah, if you liked Fourth Wing, then maybe you'll like Trials for the Haunted. It's about a girl who has to go through a series of deadly trials in order to earn a cure for her curse. And it's set in sort of like a fantasy version of the Wild West. It has, you know, blood and gore and a little bit of romance and steampunk weapons. And yeah, it's a lot of fun, I think. So
just read the first page. You will be hooked. Can I talk about the first page?
Sure.
It starts off with a human sacrifice. Who doesn't want to read about that? So I think it's really cool. Also, her name is awesome. Her name is Syndra, but she also goes by the shortened version of Sin. So I liked it.
I
like a lot. So don't miss it. If you're an avid reader, if you love dark fantasy, actually, no, it doesn't even matter what genre you like. I think you'll like this. Just get it. All right, let's jump into Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Once again, this book is incredibly popular. Came out April of last year, 2023. The sequel even came out the same year. I think it was November.
That's crazy to me. Yeah.
Crazy. I don't know how this woman and these are chunky freaking books. These are not like little novellas. This one is just under 600 pages. I have no idea how many pages are in Iron Flame?
Well, if you count all the missing pages.
Okay, let's talk about that.
A little over 600 pages.
Okay, Fourth Wing. Is it worth the hype? Have you read it? Should you consider reading it? So, you might be surprised to find out that Rebecca Yarros, she typically writes contemporary romance novels. This is her debut fantasy novel. Can you imagine that level of success when you step out of your usual genre and try something new and get the amount of attention that she has gotten? Amazing. I have so much respect for her as an author. I actually would love to read some of her other work because it's got to be good. If she can write like this.
Like you can tell she's a romance author because the romance in this really top notch yes. Romance. But also at the same time, you know, you also have to hand it to her because the fantasy portion of it, like if you were to take out all the romance, I would still really love this book for the fantasy portion of it as well.
Let's just cover the synopsis of the book. We're not going to give anything away. You can find all this information in the flap cover. What is this called?
The jacket description. A flap.
This story follows our main character, Violet Sorengale. Now, she is about to attend a war college. She has spent her entire life anticipating joining what's called the Scribe Quadrant, where she is going to make contributions to the war efforts via studies and education and reading and life among books and all that. Her mother, who is the commanding officer, commanding general, whatever she is, her mother is now forcing her into the Riders Quadrant, which it's pretty much ride or die. This is expected to be a quadrant where they lose the majority of their students. There is zero regard for death in this college. It's just expected. That's what people do. You attend college, you either make it to the top, you become a rider, you bond with a dragon, or you freaking die. I think that was one thing that was really shocking to me in this book, is just the, I guess, disregard for human life. But it was interesting. So she is now thrown in this position where she has to survive all of these trials, bond with the dragon, and then of course there's that added mix of
Xaden.
Yes! Xaden. Woo, okay. I don't want to give too much away, but There is, well, obviously.
There is a dark love interest.
There is a dark love interest. Let's leave it at that.
Okay.
I like that. Okay. So she has enemies. She definitely has rivals. She does meet a friend or two along the way. What would you rate this book?
5 stars.
5 stars.
Yeah.
Okay. Me too. However, I wasn't totally sold. I wasn't convinced for the first, I want to say 400 pages of the book, but the way that it ended, the last 100 or so pages, absolutely excellent. There were twists that I did not anticipate coming, even though I should have. I would love to reread this one because I think there were hints along the way that I just missed, but I really enjoyed it. I would also say 5 stars. For the first, I don't know, 90% of the book or however much, I was sitting at a solid 3 stars.
Really?
Yes. Because there's nothing wrong with it. It seemed like a very typical standard fantasy. Like, I don't know. I feel like I've read it before, but then it gets better.
See, I was sucked in from the first chapter. I was like, the first chapter, I was like, yep, I get it. I'm on board. Yeah. I'm along for this journey. I was invested in the story. I'm like, I'm ready to go, conquer these deadly trials and go ride some dragons. So yeah, I was, and I feel like she established her character early on very well. She is a weak character, like physically weak, but that definitely doesn't make her a weak character overall. Like she has a lot of endearing qualities and she's very kind-hearted. So
intelligence too.
Yeah, she has her strengths and weaknesses, and she's definitely not one of those like perfect characters. She has a lot of flaws, but she's definitely very endearing, and that is established from the very beginning. So that's, I think, what really drew me in was like the whole premise, first of all, as well as Violet as a character.
That's true. You're definitely not alone. I feel like I am definitely the anomaly and not being totally invested right off the bat, and I'm not sure why. I do think it's just because it is the common, I guess, theme in fantasy. I mean, it has a war college. I mean, how many books have you read of that are about a college? You have like...
Or like a school, like a magical school.
Yes, yeah. Maybe that's why. It felt too familiar. You have Harry Potter, you have Vampire Academy.
But this one was very different. Like, it's not like they don't really do magic until later. Like, they have to survive, basically, all of the stuff that's going to kill them and get their dragon before they can do any kind of like magic or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. That's true. But yes, the vast majority of folks who read this book really love it. The reaction at book club.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, book club, everyone loved it. I don't think anyone there was like, didn't like it, but I think everyone loved it.
Unanimous. Everyone loved this book. There's a reason why. And actually, if you look at Goodreads, I gotta share this with you.
Oh my gosh, Goodreads rating is insane.
It's absolutely insane, which for me, by the way, I typically don't like to read anything under 4 stars just because the really good books are typically 4 stars and up. So, but this is unheard of. So the last time I looked at Goodreads, Fourth Wing is sitting at a 4.6 star rating. It has over 1 million ratings with over 200,000 reviews.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Absolutely crazy. So there's a reason why people love this one, and hats off to Rebecca Yarros for writing outside of her genre and creating this type of craze over this book.
And I do have to say, having read the sequel, the fantasy world building is really well done. Like, because you kind of go into it, like, if you know going into it that she normally writes romance and she never writes fantasy, you go into it thinking maybe she is going to have some kind of, like, she's going to be a little bit of a dilettante at the fantasy portion of it. No, she's not. She's not at all. She's got it all figured out. She's a professional, and it seems like she's been writing fantasy her whole life.
Quite amazing.
So to answer the question, should you read it? The answer is yes. Do it now.
Yes, like right absolutely. Now. Absolutely. If there's something holding you back, get over it. It's really good.
You can listen to the audiobook if you don't have time.
That's true. That's true. That's true. Yes.
People have no excuses these days with audiobooks. It's like, oh, I don't have time to read. Like, no, you have audiobooks. You can read, listen.
On your way to work, on your way to the grocery store.
Doing groceries.
This officially concludes part 1 of this video. If you haven't had the opportunity to read Fourth Wing and you would like to do so without spoilers, please skip to the next video. We have a ton of other content for you that is spoiler free. But we're gonna hop to the spoilery section part of this video. That's a word, right? Spoilery?
Sure.
So we're gonna bring up a couple discussion topics that really dive into the meat of this book. So if you are trying to enjoy this book without any spoilers, go ahead and cut to the next video.
Consider yourself warned.
Okay, so once again, we talked about the book club reaction to this book. Unanimously, everybody loved this book.
But you should know our entire book club is all women. So I don't really know how men feel about it.
Oh, that's true. How would a man feel about this?
I think they'd still like it. If I were to describe this, like, as a comparison, like 2 books to, like, combine to make this book, I would say Twilight by Stephanie Meyer combined with Nevernight by Jay Kristoff is a comparison to this book. And I feel like men like Twilight, right? At least secretly, maybe they do.
I think closet lovers of Twilight.
But this is
sure.
better. The romance is better than Twilight, I think.
Yes. So. It's been years since I've read that, but I think so. I think absolutely.
Like, so if you grew up reading Twilight, like when it first came out, and then you're like an adult now, if you're a millennial, this is the book for you. This is going to fill the Edward void that's been in your life that you didn't know existed until now.
One topic that I really want to cover in this book is Rebecca Yaros's ability to write a good villain. So we're going to talk about Jack. What were your thoughts about Jack?
Okay, well, some cons. Okay, at first, I didn't feel like he had a very good reason to hate Violet. I get that she kind of, like, threatened him at the end of Parapet and all that stuff because he was being an asshole. But I don't know. I feel like the marked ones had a better reason to hate her than Jack Barlow did. But I will say, having read the sequel, that she gets even better at villains because it's another villain in the next book that is even better written, and you fucking hate this guy. So, yeah.
I agree with your assessment there. His reasons for hating her was kind of weak, just because.
But that doesn't really make him a bad villain necessarily. It's just you still hate the guy. He's effective in the ability to make your blood boil.
Absolutely. I just feel like she might have been in the wrong place at the wrong time and really on the parapet. But oh my gosh, I love that she wrote such a strong villain because. No, that's it.
Your main characters are only as good as your villains.
Oh, I like that. So true.
The foil technique.
So true. Now, this is probably the most popular question, but which team were you on? Were you Team Dane or Team Xaden?
Neither. I was Team Liam.
Ah, okay. Yes,
well, okay, no,
yes.
I am Team Xaden. Gotta love that guy. But honestly, when I was like halfway through the book, I was like, I kind of hope she goes for Liam because Liam, I liked him.
Sweet. Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm not always on board for the whole dark love interest thing. I think if you're going to have a dark love interest, this is the way to do it. But I have read dark love interests that were very, like, toxic, and, like, I can't get on board with that type of thing. Xaden wasn't toxic at all, but I do tend to fall more for the, like, Prince Charming, like, happy guy, rather than the dark love interest. But, yeah.
I actually like Team Liam, but I will say, at the beginning part of this book, I was 100% Team Dane. All in. I like the nice guys. It's just, I've always rooted for the nice guys. However, there's a specific moment where that turns around, and it's when Dane does not believe Violet when she told him that she was attacked by, what's her name? Ashley?
No.
I feel like it starts with an A. Anyways, it's that girl that he dated, and she attacked Violet, and he didn't believe her. And then he was trying to touch her without her consent.
Not just touch. Though the touch part is not as important as the whole stealing memories.
Yes. Until that very moment, I was Team Dane all the way. I really hoped that she would have a nice romance going on with him. The moment that happened, I was 100% Team Xaden all the way. Which, by the way, I'm curious because there is also another moment where Violet actually kisses Dane. And her reaction to it was so interesting to me because I think a lot of people have been put in a similar situation where it's like maybe there's a budding romance, maybe there's someone in your life that you've been friends with for a very long time, you've known them for forever, but you lack the romantic feelings towards that person. Have you ever had that? Yeah, me too. We don't need to go into that. But it's a good question.
It's relatable. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very relatable. Where you might meet the perfect guy. You get along really well, but maybe there's something, even the attraction is there, but some type of compatibility is missing. And I think that was a very real moment for a lot of readers, that's just simply not there.
Yep. Dane's forever in the friend zone.
Forever in the friend zone, and he can freaking stay there. So, no thank you, Dane. Violet's mom, the commander, her decision to move Violet very late on in the game, to move her to the Riders Quadrant. Move her to the Riders Quadrant. My goodness, how do we feel about Violet's mom? Obviously, she's a heartless soul, but does she actually care about Violet's well-being? That's something that I've kind of gone back and forth on. Is she so determined to uphold the family name that she's willing to sacrifice her daughter? Because the odds of Violet surviving the Writer's Quadrant is not good. So does her mom even care about her? We know that she has a somewhat okay relationship with the sister Mira, but really, does Violet's mom give a crap about her?
I will say you can read the sequel and find out.
Oh! Blast! Okay, moving on. So we'll see. Because my thoughts, I haven't read the sequel yet, but it's next on my list. I really don't feel like her mom cares about her. Any mother,
she's a dick.
Yeah, any mother would want to preserve their child's life, and her odds are not good. So, okay, read the sequel.
Raffo? Is that what
Yeah,
says?
read and find out. That's exactly what he says. Did you foresee the twist at the very end with her brother Brennan?
No. I did foresee the whole, like, this world isn't what it seems to be. Like, I knew it was prepping for the whole, because it's definitely that type of plot where it's like, this thing is not what it seems to be, you know what I mean? So I knew we're coming towards a twist, you know, in the last, like, quarter or so of the book. I did not foresee the whole Brandon being alive thing, though.
I was so excited about that. Did not see it coming whatsoever, but I was like, oh, good, because this poor girl, she's lost her father, she lost her brother. That hit the family very hard, but he's alive. I don't know why I'm whispering. He's alive. This is the spoiler section of the video. But, okay, I was just curious because I actually don't know anybody who saw that coming. Oh, I knew it all along. No, nobody freaking knew. Yeah. He was just there. And the fact that he healed her, too. So he played a very critical role.
I know. I was a little worried. I was like, man, how's she going to survive this?
I know, yeah. Maybe she doesn't. She does. Is it the very last chapter where Rebecca Yarros tells the point of view is coming from Xaden, which she hasn't done a dual perspective the entire book until the very end. That was a little bit weird for me. I don't know if that felt weird for you.
It was a little weird. I didn't mind it, though. What I liked about it is it brought this tension to the last chapter where there's the whole idea introduced that, like, oh my god, does she not remember anything? You know, because, like, the poison thing had this effect on her body. And there was, like, this tension throughout the chapter where he's like, holy shit, what if she doesn't remember me? Yeah. And I was like, oh god, what if she doesn't remember you? So I liked that portion of it because it brought that tension to the final chapter. And it kind of... It left you knowing where the characters left off as far as feelings for each other goes. And I was glad it was only one chapter from him because I think it would have ruined it if it was like his chapters throughout. You know?
I agree. I really liked only hearing her perspective for the majority of the book. It did throw me off that last part of the book, but I think it made sense considering what was happening during that time. Xaden's nickname for Violet is Violence. Did you think that was endearing or offensive?
I thought it was endearing. I thought it was really cute.
Too. I would love to be called Violence.
Did people not like that?
No, I don't know.
I'm sure someone on Group is like, fuck this guy.
No, I mean, I was just thinking, because sometimes people love pet names, sometimes they hate them.
Well, if they're, like, nasty pet names, like Cake, or, like, something stupid and cheesy like that. But that's a very cute nickname.
I think so, too. And it also speaks to her ferocity, because she is of smaller stature. She's not physically a formidable character. She mostly gets, you know, her brains is what kind of gets her through everything. But, okay, I thought it was endearing, too. I thought that was very cute. Violet finds a way to come out on top of all of her duels, and the reason she's able to do that is she finds out who her opponent is going to be, and she finds a way to best them, whether that's through poisoning or what else does she do? Mostly poisoning. Yeah. Now, me personally, I kind of felt like that was a cheap way for her to win, but also necessary. So I also don't blame her, but I feel like there was also something else she could have done. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I wonder how you felt about that.
It's kind of hard because at times I was kind of finding it hard to get on board with her being a writer because I'm like, yes, you are physically weak. You shouldn't be here. Like, part of me was like, yeah, you really don't deserve to be here because you can't even, like, sit on a dragon and stay there.
She needs a saddle. How embarrassing.
But at the same time, it's like, I was rooting for her, so it's like, okay, well, you know, it was a good way of showing how her intelligence got her the win in the end. But at the same time, it's like, wow, you're kind of a dick.
I know. Yeah, in some ways, I felt that was a very cheap method, but again, necessary. So I don't know.
What you gotta do. But I mean, in a world where it's like, if you don't get through this, you're likely to die. Then it's like, okay, well, you know, it's a man eat man world. So
yeah, that's true.
Better him than me.
That's true. I guess I was just hoping that with all of her additional trainings, I was like, oh, maybe she will build up the strength to defeat
she does
them in
get a lot stronger.
She does.
She does learn how to fight eventually. Yeah. But I guess that brings some like realism to the situation where it's like real, because a lot of people get authors a lot of flack for it's like, she was this petite woman, so tiny, and like, you know, oh, but she could like take down a 300-pound dude with like a flick of her wrist. You know what I mean? Like that's not realistic. So this brought a little more realism to it, I think. Realistically, would she be able to fight with her like medical condition that she has? Probably, but would she be as good as she is by the end of this book? Probably not, I would think. So, I don't know.
Which, Violet has a very big heart, and I think that's partly what makes her such a strong character, even though she's lacking in other areas. But how did you feel about her giving her other shoe to Rhiannon on the parapet?
Well, I feel like that was Yaros trying to really make her a sympathetic character, you know, and showing from the get-go, like, this character is very, you know, very kind and generous. Was it a stupid decision? Absolutely. Like,
I was going to say, I wouldn't have done that.
Bitch, you're supposed to be smart. Why are you doing this?
I would not have done that, because I could have fallen to my death. What a stupid way to die, because I gave my shoe away?
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, me either. I also was made aware that there are some trigger warnings in here.
That's like the new trend.
It is. It's a little bit weird.
I guess people are just so triggered these days.
Yeah. Yeah, it's right here. Fourth Wing is a non-stop thrilling adventure fantasy set in the brutal and competitive world of a military college of dragon riders, which includes elements regarding war, battle, hand-to-hand combat, perilous situations, blood, intense violence, brutal injuries, death, poisoning, graphic language, sexual activities that are shown on the page. Readers who may be sensitive to these elements, please take note and prepare to enter Basgaith War College.
See, now I feel like that's more of a invitation to read the book than it is an actual trigger warning, which I think is the purpose of these trigger warnings in the first place. Like, okay, you're picking up a fantasy novel. You don't need a trigger warning that says there's going to be violence and blood. Like, it's a fantasy novel. It's gonna happen unless you're reading fucking Legends and Latte.
Oh, don't even get me started on that.
There's gonna be blood and violence and sword fighting and people dying. Like, that's what you go into when you open a fantasy novel. So you don't need that whole first part. The mention of sex on the page, I kind of get that, because I do know some readers who do not read any kind of spice. They do not want that. But at the same time, you could just skip it. If you're not into that, you just skip it. But I guess it would be nice to know, you know, if there's going to be like spice on the page. But you can also get that from the reviews, you know, like. But the whole last sentence, you know, please take note and prepare to enter Basgaith War College. Like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's just more effective in like inviting you into the story than it is like an actual like. Be not afraid.
So do you think that statement right there lost her any potential readers? Or do you think it drew more in?
I would say it drew more in.
I think so too.
Because the people who are triggered by such things wouldn't pick this up in the first place.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Maybe it's helpful to parents, you know, if their child's like, hey, Mom, can I read this? And then parent opens it and is like, oh, no, you can't read this.
It's going to be like Harry Potter.
But then at the same time, you could also look it up and be like, oh, this is an adult fantasy. Like, you probably shouldn't be reading this in the first place. So, I don't know.
Absolutely.
Stick to the YA section, which even that section's getting a little bit spicy.
Yeah, I've been shocked at some of these books recently that are classified as young adult. I'm like, really?
Which goes to show that young adult is not actually an age group genre. It's a marketing genre.
Ah, that's true.
So it's not really, it's not about what age groups should read this genre. It's a marketing scheme, which J.K. Rowling created, which is kind of cool because she changed the entire publishing industry. But there's a whole other side quiz conversation that I will not get into.
You mean side bus?
Yeah, the wayward bus.
To wrap up this video, was this book worth the hype? Absolutely 100%. According to us and everyone at the book club, and also the millions of people that wrote reviews on this book. So yes, if you're on the fence as to whether or not you want to read it, just pick it up and read it. Listen to the audiobook. It's a fast read, yeah. It's
quick. It goes by fast.
Definitely. But thank you for joining us today. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Check out our links below. We left links to our Instagram pages. Give us a follow so you can stay up to date on bookish content and
sporadic author content.
Way to sell it, man.
Yep. Follow me. It's great on there.
Thanks so much for watching this mess of a video. We enjoyed making it.
We did. I'm empty actually, so
this
is just a prop. Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Let's go ride some dragons, guys.
Hey everybody, thank you for changing my channel.
Oh, what an ugly laugh I just did. Oh, we're gonna have tons of content for Instagram bloopers.
I know. Okay. Here, let's cheers. Let's start it off with that way. Hey everybody.
Oh, how am I supposed to hold the cheers? You cannot talk like that.
No, just start with the clink.
I know, but you held it there. Let's start with a drink at the same time, like a clink,
Okay.
and then a
Yes,
simultaneous.
and then we'll go
It'll be
into
like a
it.
supernatural closing the door at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. So, if you're looking for
Turtling up for the turtle club. Oh God, editing's gonna be a nightmare.
be sure to subscribe so you can receive more bookish content. Oh. All right, let's start over. And
Comment down below.
because please don't miss it. If you like dark fantasy, don't miss it.
Cute intro.
So be prepared. Now that we've mentioned it, there is a little bit of spice in this. So
Smut. It's smut.
spice, smut, yeah. Yes, you're correct.
You can cut that out. I think it's so funny. The whole readers are like, "Oh, this is so spicy. I'm gonna use my euphemism for sex."
It's because
it's porn, people. It's good. Okay, read it.
so you can see the difference of our personalities here. She's
yeah.
like the dark one. I'm like
The one who calls it smut.
I'm the one that calls it spice. Smut versus spice, or smut meets spice.
You starting a band? Or
Maybe I will.
Are you trying to make a Powerpuff Girl?
Okay. Anyways, now the story before it even takes off.
I'm going to Bathgate and my Bathgate. Let's go ride some dragons, guys. Let's retake that.
Okay.
I like how we hold it like a little kid, like it's their school lunch and they're in the school bus.
Yeah, I was gonna say kids on Christmas, but school bus lunch boxes.
Back to school,
Back to school. Prove to daddy I am not a fool. To wrap up this video, was this book To wrap up this video, was this bird? Oh my god! What's wrong? Also, I think that was
it. Deuces. Yeah, no, I always feel awkward signing off for my photos.
Yeah.